So many great games are released every year, but only one can be called Game of the Year. I know there are times when our favorite games never get mentioned, but we should keep in mind that the award is based on the choices of millions of players. That's why I have chosen the 10 best games of the year mentions from the last decade, from 2014 to 2024. Also, I have mentioned some bonus games at the end, so click that subscribe button and let's look at the first game on our list, Dragon Age Inquisition.
Quickly, before more come through!
A new Dragon Age game is coming up soon, so this is the perfect time to talk about the 2014 Game of the Year. Now, I'm someone who spent plenty of hours exploring every corner and completing side activities in the game. At the time of release, the game had several issues, but in 2024, everything is fixed, and the game looks incredible. One of the best things that made the game so popular is that there was nothing like it at the time of release. Around 2010, lots of RPG games were popping up, and amidst all that, Inquisition came out on top because it offered a lot of features that other RPGs didn't have. In my opinion, here are some major points that show how good Inquisition really is. First, it allows players to form party members who come in handy in several situations. Second, it gives the freedom to explore different landscapes, like mountains, forests, deserts, and more. Another cool aspect is the storyline. Dragon Age Inquisition's storyline is pretty solid and has a lot of characters. The game is quite long, and the overall story feels so connected. There are so many other things that enhance Inquisition in so many ways. I believe this was the game that saved the Dragon Age series. Now, the question arises, should you play this game in 2024? My answer is you definitely should. It's one of those games that stands out among popular games like Skyrim and The Witcher. So, Inquisition is a must-play for every RPG fan. Witcher 3. I've talked about this game multiple times on this channel, and I'm sure you've seen how many times I've put Witcher 3 at number 1. I agree the first few hours have pacing issues, and the game feels slow, but trust me, as you keep progressing, Witcher 3 becomes a full-blown masterpiece. There are some players who dropped the game or lost interest, but we aren't talking about them. The story is amazing, but all the other features complement the overall story and make the gaming experience intense. Witcher 3 made players feel more connected to its open world. The number of side quests you can do in this game is insane. All these side quests and even the main missions make you talk to other NPCs or visit several areas, making you feel more in sync with the open world. Every area in this game is breathtaking, with satisfying visuals that will captivate you to further explore the open world. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the books and live-action series indicate how big of an impact Witcher had on the RPG genre. And with a cherry on top, Witcher 3 also has 2 amazing DLCs. Both Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine deserve a lot of appreciation. Overwatch. Blizzard is known for making great games, and they did the same with Overwatch, resulting in it winning the Game of the Year award. Now, we do have a sequel if some of you are interested in playing a more graphically overhauled game. However, this time I want to talk about the OG that started it all. In my opinion, out of all the great features, what made the game so popular was the option to choose anime-style heroic characters. Most FPS games of that time were offering the same old characters like in Counter-Strike. So Overwatch did something different in an amazing way that led to its win. Definitely the best choice for every multiplayer fan in terms of replayability.
Get inside. How about a little extra?
The game has insane replay value. Players still prefer the original Overwatch from 2016. Oh, and by the way, it's the same year when Uncharted 4 released. Now, in my opinion, Uncharted 4 was the deserving one for Game of the Year award, but oh well, it is what it is. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Legend of Zelda is the OG series and a fan favorite for every RPG lover. Breath of the Wild is a game that no one can disagree with being called Game of the Year. If some of you have started your journey with Tears of the Kingdom, then you will surely have a tough time playing the OG Breath of the Wild. I've seen some comments where players say it doesn't give the same feeling as Kingdom. In my opinion, you will fall in love with whichever game you choose to play first. Breath of the Wild is still one of the most stunning experiences I've ever had with any Legend of Zelda game. So, my go-to choice will always be the 2017 version. There is a lot to accomplish in the Legend of Zelda games, so you won't get bored or witness repetitive stuff. One of the key points I want to mention is that the graphics or textures can be a bit different from the usual RPG games like Witcher, Valhalla, or Skyrim. So, this could be a turnoff for some players. Also, these games have nice soundtracks and music that should be acknowledged. The exploration and the beauty of the open world take the cake, because no matter how big the map is, if it lacks content, nobody's going to enjoy it. Luckily, Legend of Zelda captivated the fans with amazing gaming aspects and an over-the-top engaging narrative. God of War. This is hands down one of the all-time best God of War games. I played the older games and can say that the 2018 version is remarkable. Fans of the series had a blast playing it as the overall aspects were fantastic. This time I want to talk about the splendid work developers put into the game. The whole game felt more like a movie filled with cutscenes in different areas. We all see Kratos in a whole different manner as he adjusts to fatherhood. However, things get super intense when he finally starts using the blades. Also, God of War 2018 introduced us to one of the craziest boss battles in just the first hour, which will always be considered the ultimate experience. God of War has so many great things that make it one of the coolest experiences of all time, especially for the OG fans as they get to see a well-made modern-gen semi-open world game. Also, if you're planning on getting into the God of War series, there's no better recommendation than the 2018 version. You don't need to know what happened in the previous parts as the game features an entirely new story. There's also a decent level of replay value as you can play the game several times on different difficulties and even in New Game Plus mode. Sekiro. This is one of my favorite Souls games. I am a huge fan of ninja or shinobi games, and From Software nailed it by giving us a lifetime experience with Sekiro. I admit that this is not your usual simplistic game like first or third-person shooters. You need to have a really good knowledge of Souls games before you dive into Sekiro. I recommend starting your journey with the easiest Souls games, such as Elden Ring and Lies of P. Once you grasp how Souls games work, you'll have a slightly less hard time beating this game. Honestly, I can still say that no matter what type of difficult games you play, Sekiro will still provide a challenge. Bloodborne is the only game that comes close to the level of Sekiro. Now, some of my tips that make the game easier are to master the parry and learn the mechanics. The game becomes easier assuming you have some experience playing similar games. Nevertheless, despite being the toughest Souls game, Sekiro still manages to give us some of the coolest boss battles ever. Every boss in this game has their own patterns and weapons. I have finished the game 4 times, so for me, everything is a lot easier compared to when I first started. Still, I recommend that every Souls fan should play this game. There's never a boring moment within the game, as you're basically moving forward all the time while killing enemies and dying several times. I'm so glad that the game got the Game of the Year award. From Software has been making so many great games, and it was so satisfying that at least one of them got the award. I believe the developers' work finally paid off. Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us series is noted for its immersive visuals, brutal gameplay mechanics, and heartfelt story. The first part is also worth mentioning, but I've discussed it in previous videos. Aside from the better graphics, the storyline is one of the most noticeable differences between the two games. In my opinion, The Last of Us remake story is heartwarming, whereas the second one is sad and heartbreaking, but I adore Ellie and Joel's friendship in the first installment.
Please, don't. Please don't.
Now, the reviews are great, with most players preferring the original over the sequel. The second part is troublesome in a variety of ways. The story is the main issue, as Joel and Ellie could have had a happier ending. I'm not sure what the creators and writers were thinking. The first game will always be treasured. This isn't just my opinion. I found that whenever The Last of Us is mentioned, the first part always comes out on top. The series had immense potential. There's also a TV show that shows the game's impact on the audience. Despite having better gameplay and better visuals, in some ways, the second installment falls short. Don't get me wrong, I have completed both games, and I had a blast playing the sequel. It's just that the developers did everything great from pacing to making a connection between Ellie and Joel, but they ended their story in such a manner. Though if you shift your perspective, we can still say that it's a well-written ending. It Takes Two.
They just ran away! I mean, did you see them with their little fuse legs?
We'll worry about that later. Let's just bring them back.
It Takes Two offers such a unique story with one of the best feelings, traveling through so many different roleplay styles and themes. It features many different and unique mini-games you can try while playing the main story. The thing is, there's such a low number of local split-screen games nowadays, and even if there were, this one would still be one of your favorites. I don't regret a single penny spent on this game.
Oh, you talk like you own her. Ask yourself, can you really own the people you love? You just let us through? Come on! I win! But first...
The developers team completely deserves the price tag they put on it. Anyways, you're just gonna love the game, no matter your age or the partner or friend you play it with. It Takes Two is a co-op only game that's perfect to play with a buddy. This is Hazelight Studios' follow-up title to A Way Out and expands upon its core ideas in a big way. As a result, it easily became one of the best games from 2021 and won a slew of awards. With a poignant story to explore and a range of unique mechanics per character, meaning lots of replay value, there's a lot to experience in It Takes Two.
with legs.
All right, this is the last one. Let's put it in. Oh, perfect.
Let's go!
Of course, in typical Hazelight Studios fashion, there are a plethora of mini-games to enjoy too. If you enjoyed A Way Out, or are simply looking for a lengthy narrative-focused adventure to play with a friend, then give It Takes Two a go. You won't regret it.
You're here to fix your relationship!
We just fixed it.
Yeah. We're divorcing. It's all good.
No! I will help you.
Elden Ring. It's always hard to say which From Software game is the best. However, Elden Ring managed to incorporate all that From Software is known for and improved upon it significantly. The game is a complete bundle that includes visuals, music, graphics, an open world, and enemies. I understand that some of you are still playing the game even after completing the main story. Also, who could forget about the upcoming DLC? Elden Ring can be a good option if you want to get into From Software games. Elden Ring is such a well-made title and definitely a major step up in the Souls genre, as the developers showed all of us how mesmerizing an open-world Souls game can be. This game can be a genre shift, as who knows if the developers will start producing more Souls games set in an open world rather than the usual linear format. However, no matter what happens, I won't think twice before buying any upcoming Souls game, as I know it will always be a blast. We all knew at the time of release that Elden Ring would surely win the Game of the Year award.
Elden Ring is set here, in the lands between. This is a site of grace, acting as a place.
Before we talk about the latest Game of the Year from 2023, here are some honorable mentions. Resident Evil 4, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, Red Dead Redemption 2, Skyrim,
They say Helgen got hit by a dragon. One of those horrors comes here. We'll be ready. I ain't doing that.
Baldurs Gate 3,
That's it! Go on!
The developers did an amazing job in the sequel and provided us with vast content. From the story to the world setting, characters to the combat, everything is splendidly well made. The overall story is gripping and will keep you engaged throughout the 3 acts of the game. Every choice you make in this game will have a direct impact on your playthrough, resulting in different endings or cutscenes. The game also contains a well-written cast of characters, along with perfect voice acting which truly felt satisfying. You can say that Baldur's Gate 3 is a high-level RPG similar to Dungeons & Dragons. It's a complete game changer and an absolutely well-deserved winner of the Game of the Year award. Now, the most important factor is whether you should play this game, and my answer is that it depends on your taste. If you're someone who's into similar RPG games and have a good knowledge of the gameplay mechanics, then you won't have any trouble and will find the game highly interesting.
What's happening?
As for those who are stepping into these kinds of games for the first time, Baldur's Gate can be a prime choice as it features everything exceptionally well made. Truth to be told, I recommend anyone to at least see what the game is about for the first few hours before dropping it. Alright, this finishes our list of the 10 games that got the Game of the Year award over the last decade. I know that some of your favorite games are not mentioned here. There are all types of different Game of the Year awards. That's why I stick with the most reliable and well-known ones. So, if your favorite game got a mention in some other Game of the Year award, it's all good. Also, it's without a doubt that all these games are amazing and can provide anyone with an all-out blast. So, don't think twice before diving into any of these games. In the end, if you have made it this far, then please subscribe as I'm close to reaching 12,000 subscribers. So, hit that subscribe button and join my Discord community for awesome gaming recommendations.